Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
But who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And who is he?
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer.
And what he do?
And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. And that's how I'm looking at this next case. We're reacting to the indictment of the one and only Donald J. Trump. But before we get to that, let's talk about eSign.com. This episode, like all of our episodes, is brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com is an effective way to remotely do business. Let's say you're a former president and you are living in Mar-a-Lago and you need to sign a new retainer agreement because you just got indicted. And you have to also maybe do a wire. You have to do all kinds of business. You can't leave your house because there's a warrant in New York for you. Well, what do? You go to eSign.com. You download the app. You get 3 free signatures a month. And you're able to get all your business done remotely, and you don't have to worry about getting picked up, even though you got Secret Service protection. Okay, so, and I use it all the time. That's how I get my clients who are out of state or out of town or even just can't make it in. They sign a retainer agreement remotely. It's an effective way to do business. That's eSign.com. We love it. And you know, first of all, let me just give a thank you to eSign.com because they've been our supporters for a long time. And show them some love. And if you have a need for their service, use it because it's the best. And we thank them. All right, so Donald Trump. Have you heard anything about Donald Trump lately? Hey, guess what? Donald Trump's in the news. Hey, Donald Trump. What's going on with Donald Trump? Hey, Trump. Okay, calm the fuck down. Donald Trump has been indicted in New York. And we haven't seen the indictment, so we don't know exactly what it is. But we do know, I think it's like over 30 counts of business fraud. So it can't just be Stormy Daniels' deal. Now, a lot of you guys out there with the detractors who are either Tate supporters or, you know, they're the same kind of Trump supporters. You're gonna say, oh, I'm so biased and blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit if I'm biased or not? I'm just gonna give you the facts. Here are the facts. This Manhattan district attorney has successfully prosecuted 117 of these types of cases. So this is not out of the ordinary for him to pursuing this line of cases. And when you listen to all of the talking heads on this topic, all the ones that are supporting Donald Trump, you know, his lawyers, and what do? Do they attack the facts? Do they talk? They say he didn't pay a porn star. No, they don't. They don't attack the facts, the factual basis of any of the things that he's charged with. What do they attack? They attack the messenger. They'll attack Alvin Bragg, and then I'm not going to show you their videos because they talking about a Soros-funded prosecution. They talk about how this is a political witch hunt. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But for that to be true, the members of the grand jury that voted for indictment, they'd have to be in on it too, wouldn't they? Right? All the U.S. and all the attorneys that are working on it have to be in on it. All the investigators and all the court reporters and everybody that's in the court system and everybody they're all against Donald Trump. Here's the thing. Let's just break it down to you one time. So what Donald Trump did was in October of 2016, just before the election, he was being extorted. There's no question he was being extorted by Michael Avenatti, who's now in prison, by the way. Talking about a piece of garbage he is. We're going to do a deep dive on him, too, because that is just a lesson in sheer narcissistic chutzpah. I don't know if that's you can put those together, but so it's about to come out that he had an affair with Stormy Daniels. Stormy's got her. Have you ever seen one of her videos? Anyway, I haven't. So this is about to burst onto the scene just before the election. What do they call that? They call that an October surprise. And you know they've done it to politicians from the beginning of time. They did it to John Edwards, and here's the difference with John Edwards. John Edwards went to trial. He had a wife that was having cancer, or that was dying from cancer. I want to say he gave her over $1 million. I'm sure maybe it was $150,000. I don't know what the amount was with Edwards, But they charged him with the campaign finance violation, and he wound up getting a hung jury. He didn't get acquitted. He got a hung jury, and they decided not to prosecute again. Now, Donald Trump, what he did was, in order to insulate himself from this, he paid Stormy Daniels $130,000. What an odd amount, really, when you think about it. Because her lawyer probably got a third of that, so that would be a little over 40 grand. So she got maybe 80 grand out of that? I mean, you're going to do this for $80,000? Her lawyer reaches out to the Trump team. They pay her $130,000, but they don't pay her from Trump. They disguise it. And they disguise it by having Michael Cohen, his lawyer at the time, who went to prison for this and other things, he paid her $130,000 from a home equity line of credit. Okay, so he had a home equity loan. Can't make this up. He didn't have the cash, so he or maybe he had the cash, but he used a home equity loan, and he paid her. And then what Trump did was he paid Michael Cohen back. He reimbursed him in several payments of like $33,000. And they have the checks. I mean, and the thing is, he then disguised those payments as legal fees. None of this is in dispute. And then he deducted those legal fees from his taxes. That, my friends, is tax fraud. I don't even think, and that's a felony. I don't think they have to necessarily show that there's a lot of talk about this is going to be a difficult case because they're going to have to show that he intended to have it be a campaign finance violation, and that really his defense is that he was doing this to prevent Melania from finding out. Well, bullshit, because guess what? Melania's probably got a prenup saying that if she leaves him, she only gets so much. And that's how he just done it with all of his wives. So I don't think he was the least bit worried about it. And the timing is awfully suspect. Do I think he's a victim of extortion? 100% I do. But the way he handled that, it should have been go to the FBI because she is extorting me. And then that would have been the way to go about this. But he didn't. And so his disguising this as a legitimate, deductible business expense is what is going to hem him up. And Michael Cohen, let's talk about Michael Cohen for a second, because all the other talking heads are talking about Michael Cohen. And they're talking about how Michael Cohen is a liar, he's a convicted liar, blah, 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 blah. But guess who he's associated with and who was he lying for? He's a convicted. So, and I heard Lanny Davis, Michael Cohen's lawyer, this morning on the news, talking about finish that sentence. Michael Cohen is a convicted liar for Donald Trump. So one of the things that you have, and you get this in conspiracy cases all the time, where you have a snitch testifying that's a former business associate, especially in white collar cases, where you have the snitch testifying and you try to discredit him, right? You discredit him because, oh, this guy's a liar, he's this. But wait, he worked for you for 10 years. So you are the company you keep. So if that guy's a piece of shit, what does that make you? So, and the reason I'm bringing all this up is because, yeah, Michael Cohen is a convicted liar for Donald Trump, and you could not rely on a prosecution on his word alone, and they're not going to. Everything Michael Cohen says in trial, because he will have to testify, will be corroborated by documents and recordings. And this is a good lesson in treat people well, because guess what? Is Michael Cohen disgruntled? You're damn right he is. And is he all over media bashing Trump and saying he's this, he's that, and displaying his bias? Absolutely. Will Trump's lawyers have a fucking field day with him on the stand? I would love to cross-examine him. But I don't think they're going to be able to touch the sum and substance of his testimony. They'll be able to attack his credibility. He is this, he's that, and you've said that you can't stand Donald Trump and that you think he should be held accountable and you want to see him in prison, and they'll be, because he's given just a ton of media interviews. So there's a lot there to cross-examine him, but you won't be able to penetrate the credibility of the documents and then here's the other thing. Alan Weisselberg, who's on Rikers Island right now, who's his number one man. I mean, look at all the people that have gone to prison around Trump. Manafort is campaign manager. Roger Stone. You got Steve Bannon. The list goes on and on and on and on. People that have violated the law and have been prosecuted. The problem that Trump has is he's been doing business in a particular way for so long, and he cuts corners, and there aren't any rules that apply to him. So what's going to happen next? So let's kind of go through the process. So now and let me just play out something that I don't think is going to happen, but could happen, because Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida has said he will not extradite Trump. The indictment gets issued, right? And so that means a warrant goes out for Donald Trump's arrest. That's what happens in every single case where there's an indictment. So you got that warrant out there. And so what happens when the person's out of state and you have a felony warrant? You take that felony warrant and you get a governor's warrant, a rendition warrant. And so you have to go to the governor of that state, and the governor has to enforce that warrant, and then they go arrest that person, then extradite him to the demanding state. That's what happens. DeSantis has said he's not going to do that. So if Trump wanted to just stay in Florida and make this come get me kind of thing, it probably would just sit there. The Trump folks are talking to the DA, and he's not going to act like a fugitive. He's going to do the perp walk probably. He's probably not going to get handcuffed. He's going to get fingerprinted and photographed. It sounds like his arraignment is going to be scheduled for Tuesday, and there would be protesters and everything out of there. But what's an arraignment? So let's talk about the process. So he will come up to New York. He will go to the Manhattan District Court, or Superior Court, and when he gets there, he has to turn himself in on the warrant. They'll release him without any bail. This is not a bail kind of case. He's not really a risk of flight. I mean, look who he is. I mean, everybody would know him no matter where he went. So he's not really a risk of flight. So, and the judge, now here's the thing. He's also super vocal about this stuff. And the judge could issue a gag order because on Trump, not necessarily Trump's lawyers, but they could issue a gag order on Trump. And you won't hear much from the district attorney on this while this is pending. So what does he do at an arraignment? Arraignment is your initial appearance. You show up, and there's two things that happen. They can read the charges formally on the record. Generally, you waive the reading of the indictment. And then they determine conditions of release. In this case, there probably won't be any conditions of release. So then they set it for either kind of the next step would be a pretrial hearing, some kind of pretrial hearing to determine whether or not there are any pretrial litigation issues. What are pretrial litigation issues? Well, you've got a couple different things. Number one, I guarantee you they're going to file a motion to dismiss. They're going to do whatever they can to delay. That's what Trump's MO has been on every single case that he's lost. I mean, he's lost just about every single fight he's had. So they have this. So that you'll have a motion to dismiss, and so they'll file the motion. Then both sides will brief it. Then they argue it, and it'll get denied because all they need is probable cause. And what is probable cause? Probable cause is just more slightly true than not true that a crime was committed than Donald Trump committed it. So after that, then they set up for a settlement conference and then trial. So that's kind of the life of a case. If there are any constitutional issues, which I don't think there would be in this case, you don't have a statement that you need to suppress. You don't have a search. There might be. In thinking about this, if there are any search issues, because there were a lot of subpoenas and warrants that went out, and they did collect a lot of evidence. So there may be some suppression issues. So if there are suppression issues, then that would be another full litigation hearing where you put testimony of officers and then you challenge the warrants that went out, and then so it's going to be a long process, and then you're going to get to a trial, and at a trial, here's how a trial works. I'm just giving you kind of the basics. You do jury selection. The judge asks questions. The defense usually asks some questions, and the prosecutor. Jury selection in this case will be a nightmare. I mean, try to find somebody that doesn't have a definite opinion about Trump. I mean, ridiculous. But they'll do it, and they'll find jurors in New York City. Then the prosecutor goes first. He does his opening statement. The defense can give their opening statement, or they can reserve it till their case in chief. Then the prosecutor presents their evidence and has witnesses testify. You get to cross-examine those witnesses. Then the state will rest, and then the defense gets the opportunity to present their witnesses. I bet there are almost no witnesses for the defense in this case. And then they give closing arguments. The prosecution goes first, the defense goes second, and the prosecution gets the last word. They get rebuttal, the right of rebuttal. And we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon. We'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?